The morning air was thick with tension as Max, the loyal German shepherd, stood on the edge of the old forest, his eyes fixed on a massive tree standing tall in front of him. His ears were perked and his body rigid with an unexplained unease. It wasn't just the tree's age that made it stand out, but the large, misshapen lump that had grown on its trunk. The knot seemed out of place, its shape unnatural, and its dark, swollen surface pulsed with a strange energy that made Max growl low in his throat. The old tree had stood for centuries, its branches twisted and gnarly like the limbs of a forgotten giant. Yet something about it, something hidden beneath its bark, was about to change everything. Max's bark broke the stillness of the morning, echoing through the trees. His owner, Sarah, a local park ranger, heard him from across the trail. She quickened her pace, her boots crunching the fallen leaves beneath her feet. She had always trusted Max's instincts. He had saved her from danger more times than she cared to remember. But today something felt different. She arrived to see Max pacing in circles around the tree, his eyes wild with concern. "What is it, boy?" Sarah whispered, her hand resting on Max's broad back. She followed his gaze to the lump. It was more than just an odd growth. It was as though the tree itself was hiding something. Her curiosity piqued. Sarah pulled out her phone and dialed the local police. "Officer Daniel, you need to come out here. Something's not right with this tree." Within minutes, Officer Daniel arrived in his squad car, his face skeptical but professional. He surveyed the situation with a calm demeanor, though the mystery of the tree was starting to weigh on him. Sarah and Max stood back as Daniel, equipped with his flashlight and knife, approached the lump. "Don't worry, Max. We'll get to the bottom of this," Sarah murmured, her voice tight with unease. Officer Daniel knelt down beside the tree, inspecting the lump. His hand hovered over the surface, feeling the eerie warmth radiating from it. He then pulled his knife from his belt and carefully made a cut through the bark. The air seemed to hold its breath as the sound of the blade scraping through the wood filled the space. Suddenly, there was a sharp crack and the lump split open. A small, metallic object tumbled out, clinking against the hard ground. Max barked in alarm and Sarah gasped in disbelief. Inside the tree was a small, rusted box. But what was even more shocking was what lay inside. The box contained a stack of faded letters, each one sealed with wax. But it wasn't just the letters that caught their attention. At the bottom of the box lay a small, intricately carved pendant, one that looked like an old family heirloom. Sarah's heart skipped a beat. She recognized the pendant instantly. It was the same pendant her grandmother had worn before she passed away. How could it be here, buried inside a tree? "Officer, this isn't just any tree," Sarah said, her voice trembling. "This box, it's connected to my family. My grandmother used to tell me stories about a hidden treasure tied to our ancestors, but I never believed it." Officer Daniel's expression softened. "This is something much bigger than I thought." The twist in the story hit harder than any of them had anticipated. The letters, carefully preserved, detailed the story of Sarah's great-grandfather, a man who had once been a prominent figure in the town, but whose reputation was marred by a dark secret. He had hidden a treasure, money, artifacts, and pieces of history, beneath the tree, far from prying eyes. The family believed the treasure was lost to time, but here it was, in the heart of the forest, waiting to be uncovered. Max sat down beside Sarah, his tail wagging gently. The mystery had been solved, but the emotional weight of the discovery lingered in the air. Max's bark had not only saved them from a hidden danger, but had also led them to a piece of family history long forgotten. As Sarah and Officer Daniel looked down at the box, the sun broke through the clouds, casting a soft golden light across the forest. It was as if the universe had decided to reveal this long-lost secret just when it was needed the most. However, the discovery did not stop there. As Sarah began to sift through the letters, she discovered a series of coded symbols and strange maps, ones that her great-grandfather had drawn. The more Sarah studied them, the more she realized that these weren't just mere symbols. They were directions, guiding her to another hidden location. "Officer, this is unbelievable," Sarah muttered, running her fingers along the ink on the old parchment. "I think there's more. These symbols, they point to another place in the forest." Officer Daniel looked at her with a raised eyebrow. Another treasure? Sarah nodded. It seems like my great-grandfather never meant for anyone to find everything. This is a trail. Max's ears perked up as if sensing the gravity of the moment. He whined softly, his eyes flicking between Sarah and the direction the map indicated. Without another word, Sarah stood up, determination flashing in her eyes. We're going to follow this trail, Max. If there's more, we'll find it. The trio, Sarah, Officer Daniel, and Max, set off deeper into the woods, following the clues left behind. Max trotted ahead, leading them with the confidence of a dog on a mission. The tension in the air was palpable. They had unearthed a secret, but there was something in the shadows of the forest that whispered of more. Every step seemed to take them closer to something larger, something that Sarah's great-grandfather had intended to keep buried forever. As the sun began to dip lower in the sky, casting long shadows across their path, they arrived at a clearing. In the middle of the clearing was a large flat rock. Sarah's heart raced as she approached the stone, noticing a familiar symbol carved into its surface, the same symbol that appeared repeatedly in her great-grandfather's letters. Max barked excitedly, his tail wagging. Sarah knelt down and began to clear the moss and dirt that had accumulated around the rock. As her hand brushed against the cold stone, something shifted. The rock moved, revealing a hidden compartment underneath. Inside was another box. This one was larger, more ornate, with intricate engravings on its surface. Sarah's hands shook as she lifted the box from its hiding place. She opened it slowly, her breath catching in her throat. Inside, they found an assortment of rare coins, ancient jewelry, and priceless artifacts, all wrapped in a protective cloth. But at the very top of the pile was something even more shocking, a detailed journal, written by Sarah's great-grandfather himself. The journal detailed his life, his rise to power in the town, and the reasons behind his secretive actions. Sarah learned of betrayals, dangerous deals, and even family members he had chosen to keep hidden from the world. The treasure was never meant to be found by anyone else, but her great-grandfather had hidden it, hoping that someday someone in the family would unlock its secrets. Now, that someone was Sarah. The emotional weight of the discovery hit her all at once. She had not only uncovered a lost family legacy, but she had also learned the truth about her great-grandfather, the good and the bad. Max stood beside her, his head resting against her leg as she sat down on the stone, overwhelmed by the magnitude of it all. Officer Daniel, who had been silently watching the unfolding scene, approached with a respectful nod. I think you found what your family was meant to uncover. Sarah smiled faintly, tears in her eyes. Thank you, Max. You've led us to something no one else could have. The three of them sat in the quiet of the forest, the evening light casting a warm glow over the clearing. They had uncovered more than just a treasure. They had found a connection to the past that would never be broken. As the sun set behind the trees, Max lay down beside Sarah, his loyal eyes watching over her. The journey had ended, but the legacy would live on.